Just before midnight on November 11th, 2003, friends entered Jonathan Brandis' Los Angeles apartment and made a horrific discovery. For a time in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Jonathan Brandis was one of the most promising child stars in Hollywood, and his role as Bastian Bucks in the NeverEnding Story 2 was supposed to cement him as a bankable teen heartthrob. Worst of all, it did, but his fame was also his curse. Born in April 1976 in Connecticut, based on his looks alone, Brandis seemed destined for stardom. Seeing their adorable open-faced child, Brandis' parents began putting Jonathan in print commercials starting from when he was just 2 years old. By the age of 4, he was appearing in television commercials, and for now, the only way to go was up.
And this?
Captain Crunch is part of a balanced breakfast.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love this guy, but Captain, ditch the hat, alright?
At the young age of 6, Brandis nabbed the role of Kevin Buchanan in One Life to Live. It spurred a drastic change for his family. Deciding to gamble on their son's charisma, they packed up and moved from the East Coast to Los Angeles 3 years later, and soon Jonathan was a regular guest star on shows like The Wonder Years.
Let's eat. Man, that's hilarious!
And Full House.
Yeah, well, you're real nice and fun and smart. But Kathy Santoni is...
Soon after, the opportunity of his life opened up. In the late 80s, producers began casting for child actors for the upcoming sequel to the NeverEnding Story, subtitled The Next Chapter. After all, the first film had been made 6 years earlier, so all the original actors had aged out of their roles. Brandis jumped into the auditioning process with an important goal in mind. For some time now, the 13-year-old Brandis had been trying to grow out of his childlike roles that had sustained him in the 80s, and into more teenage fare.
I wish for you to have a heart.
He had even tried out for the high school sitcom Saved by the Bell and was considered for a part, only for casting directors to ultimately pass over him. If he won a part in the NeverEnding Story 2, it would give him a grown-up part and more exposure. It went better than he could have imagined. Over 600 children and young actors auditioned for the limited parts available in the NeverEnding Story 2. But it was Jonathan Brandis who landed the lead role of Bastian Balthazar Bucks, the lonely preteen who finds himself literally absorbed in a book and ends up in the magical world of Fantasia. Still, the production was no walk in the park. The film's director, George T. Miller, was concerned about child actor labor rules delaying things on set. His solution was nerve-wracking. To speed things up, Miller insisted that Brandis and his co-stars only rehearse scenes once before filming, and often had up to 3 cameras in their faces when they did film in order to get all the angles simultaneously. Yet, Brandis was already turning his experiences into another step up. Although the NeverEnding Story 2 underperformed at the box office, Brandis' star was still on the rise. And the same year the film came out, he played the young version of stuttering Bill Denbrough in the terrifying miniseries of Stephen King's It. Brandis later called it the hardest role he'd ever played, particularly when it came to getting Bill's stutter right.
The same man.
It's not a man.
It.
But his biggest transformation was just around the corner. For much of his teen acting career, casting directors often pointed out Brandis' height, or lack thereof. When he made Sidekicks in 1992, co-starring Chuck Norris,
That's alright, Chuck. That's what sidekicks are for.
he was reported to be just 5 feet 4 inches tall. Before long, however, Brandis hit a growth spurt and eventually hit 5 feet 9 inches. And that wasn't the only thing that changed. 1993 was the year that everything changed for Jonathan Brandis. After his successful and growing film career, he landed a role in seaQuest DSV, which was eventually renamed to seaQuest 2032. The science fiction show, set aboard a futuristic submarine, attracted Steven Spielberg as an executive producer and saw Brandis playing the teen genius Lucas Wolenzak.
seaQuest's exploration of the deep is more important than my needs. My father's pursuit of an empire that serves mankind is more important than my needs.
A television series was a chance for Brandis to settle into steady acting, only that's not how it went. seaQuest DSV's first season proved immensely popular, and Brandis was most popular of all, even next to veteran co-star Roy Schneider. Teen girls in particular tuned into seaQuest DSV to see Brandis, who had now grown into a teen heartthrob, and soon enough, teen magazine Tiger Beat voted him the #1 dreamboat. But it didn't stop there. Eventually, Brandis grew so famous among young girls that they started showing up to the set of seaQuest DSV to catch a glimpse of him. That wasn't all. They came in such droves and were so enthusiastic, he needed 3 studio security guards to escort him off set each day. And the strangeness kept coming. Brandis had been a working actor since he was a toddler, but nothing could have prepared him for the avalanche of attention that came from his role as Lucas. In addition to the crowds gathering everywhere he went and the interviews in teen magazines, he also got up to 4,000 fan mail letters per week, but it all took a toll on him. In interviews during this time, Brandis seemed something like a deer in headlights when it came to his immense overnight fame.
What kind of things have you kept from movies and TV shows you've been in?
Well, first of all, I have all of them on tape.
I never perceived myself like this, a teen magazine kid, he once said. As an actor, you just hope to continue working. I sure never knew it was coming. Overwhelming as it was, Brandis still took advantage of it. According to Brandis's seaQuest co-star Roy Schneider, Brandis mostly had a good head on his shoulders about his newfound fame. As Schneider noted, he takes his incredible popularity with a grain of salt. However, Schneider did add one confession, other than the fact he uses it to get girls. In fact, Brandis's love life was heating up. By 1995, Jonathan Brandis was a teen heartthrob, and at 19 he had finally fully escaped his child stardom, even if teen stardom had its own problems too. To go along with this, he began a relationship with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actress Tatiana Ali.
My family and friends want to give you some thanks, so before this dinner's all swallowed and chewed, thank you, God, for this stupid food.
Though their relationship had its ups and downs from the start. When Tatiana and Jonathan first met at a friend's Halloween party in 1993, she was only 14 years old, while he was 17. More than that big age gap, Brandis's fame also eclipsed Ali's. So although there was mutual interest, Ali played it safe. As she commented, he was older, probably a lot more experienced. It was uncomfortable. It took a good while for that to change. 2 years after their first meeting, when Brandis was 19 and Ali had turned 16, the pair finally got over their hesitations and officially got together. Naturally, Hollywood immediately pounced on the new couple.
Diana, Ali from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, how are you?
How
Welcome.
You doing? Come on, now this is the first opportunity I've had to talk to the girls.
There you go.
And they became pop culture royalty, heightening both their profiles at once. This wasn't a good thing. At the time, Brandis couldn't go anywhere without young women recognizing him and going into fits. At the same time, Ali was a star in her own right and commanding her own attention. As Brandis complained in a 1996 interview with People, "We go to a club, and 9 times out of 10, there's a guy hitting on her." It was a lot of pressure on the young stars, and more stress was to come. Brandis had made his name on seaQuest, but the show itself was a disaster behind the scenes. Although the first season was incredibly popular and turned him into a star, by the pilot episode, 2 executive producers had already quit, and there was rumors the cast, the studio, NBC, and the remaining producers were at odds. But when it came to workplace drama, Brandis hadn't seen anything yet. The second season of seaQuest was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because there was a second season, and a curse because the production issues continued, especially after NBC decided to rejig the show's format and relocate from Los Angeles to Orlando. Suddenly, Brandis' livelihood and home was up in the air. It wasn't just the show's set that changed. The studio also shuffled up cast members left, right, and center, pushing 2 actors out of their roles completely. It got worse. 2 other cast members left on their own accord, citing not only the move to Orlando, but also the same cast and production tensions that had already plagued the first season. Brandis, though, got lucky. One of the reasons NBC wanted to rejig the show was actually because of Brandis. Thanks to his immense success following season 1 of seaQuest, they wanted season 2 to star an even younger cast, and were likely hoping to draw in an even bigger portion of the teen audience.
Lucas, am I sorry, but we have got to go.
Yeah, go on.
Here, come see me, okay?
Unlike many of his castmates, Brandis got to keep his job throughout the chaos. He also got something else entirely. seaQuest wasn't a steady place for Brandis to work, but it did push him to new heights in his career. Producers let Brandis, as one of their biggest stars, actually write an episode of the second season, The Siamese Dream, which appeared as episode 20. Although Brandis could control one episode, he couldn't control the train wreck that was the show as a whole. If seaQuest's strong start in Season 1 began to crumble under all the backstage issues, Season 2 let those issues fester. Then, by Season 3, it was in a full-blown crisis. Producers kept changing much of the concept and setting of the show, and it got so bad that Brandis' co-star, lead actor Roy Schneider, fought with producers to release him from his contract. The damage was done. Though Brandis' teen idol status continued, seaQuest began to plummet. By the time the third season aired, Brandis was the only cast member to appear in every episode, and only one of 3 actors on the show to have been with it since the beginning. Brandis may have felt he owed NBC. They had taken a chance on him and even allowed him to write a television episode, but in the end, the studio betrayed him too. By all accounts, Brandis was a professional who came to work each day on seaQuest, hoping to bring all he could to the role. All it gave back to him was a cruel shock. Partly thanks to all the changes of the show, seaQuest was hemorrhaging its audience, and NBC axed it abruptly right in the middle of Season 3. Still, Brandis had a bright future in front of him, or so everyone thought. To be fair, few people could see the end coming at this point. Brandis left seaQuest at the height of his career, and he was firmly embedded in the social circles of some of the hottest young stars of the 90s. In particular, he was close with his fellow child star, Soleil Moon Frye, who gained fame as the titular character in Punky Brewster.
Dishes are done. Hey, Brandon, how's the floor polishing coming along?
Other things in his life were looking up too. Over the next handful of years, Brandis put together an immensely consistent string of roles, first in television films, and then in supporting roles in cinematic releases like Outside Providence.
Hey, Mousy. What's this?
That's a bed.
And Ride with the Devil in the late 1990s. For an actor who only wanted to work, it was what Brandis needed most. But even that was about to falter. At the turn of the new millennium, Brandis' career began to sputter. Although Outside Providence and Ride with the Devil were traditional theater releases, his next role in Bad Girls from Valley High had difficulty even finding a distributor and hung in release limbo for years. The biggest blows were yet to come. It wasn't just Brandis' professional life that began taking hits. His personal life also suffered a catastrophe. In 2001, after 6 years of dating, he and Tatiana Ali called it quits. Although the couple kept the reasons for their split private, it certainly isolated Brandis in a crucial moment of his life, one where he would need a friend. In 2002, Brandis picked up a supporting role in the movie Heart's War, starring heavy hitter Bruce Willis and rising actor Colin Farrell. It looked to be a stroke of luck just when he needed it most. And perhaps best of all, it was obviously destined for a feature film release. But when the final edits came in, Brandis got gut-wrenching news. By now, Brandis was hanging many hopes for his career and his happiness on Heart's War. So when he found out that his work was reduced to a minuscule part, he was gutted. He ended up appearing only in a deleted scene in the official release. Brandis must have felt like he was back at square one, but he got up one more time. In 2003, Brandis threw his hat in the television ring once more when he won a part in 111 Gramercy Park, a show starring legends like Tippi Hedren and Jaleel White, best known as Family Matters' Steve Urkel. This show followed a group of maintenance and cleaning staff at a luxury apartment complex. With the role secured, now all Brandis had to do was film the pilot and hope it got picked up, but his hardships were already taking their toll. Brandis' Gramercy Park co-star Jaleel White later described the actor's state of mind during the filming of the pilot. His revelations were heartbreaking. Reportedly, Brandis was on continual edge about whether or not the show would make it to air. As White noted, "I've never known an actor to ask me repeatedly about our pickup prospects the way he did when we shot. Tragically, it was all for nothing." In the end, a network never picked up 111 Gramercy Park, and Brandis once again felt untethered from the entertainment world, the world that had been the only reality he'd ever known. With Bad Girls from Valley High still in production purgatory and few offers coming through to him, Brandis began truly spiraling. Even around the loss of Gramercy Park, perhaps around the whittling of his role in Heart's War, Brandis responded to his failures in destructive ways. According to those closest to him, he began drinking heavily, and these habits only fueled the sinking depression and loneliness he was already feeling. It all led to one breathtaking confession. Friends report that around this time, when Brandis was obviously at his lowest, he told multiple people that he was struggling with his outlook on life. For those who knew how polite and easygoing he was, this seemed almost unbelievable, even with the pressure he was facing in his career and personal life. Besides, he had one more bright spot coming up. Despite his private demons, Brandis was still marching on in his career, and in 2003 he got a part, a meaty one this time, as a CIA hitman in Puerto Vallarta Squeeze, alongside veteran actor Harvey Keitel. He packed away his issues for the work, and reports from the set were that he was once more a total professional. Even Keitel took note. Harvey Keitel was incredibly impressed watching his young co-star work. According to a producer on the film, Robert Katz, Keitel couldn't help noting to him on multiple occasions, "This kid is good." Even in the editing room, Katz admitted that everyone was saying, "This guy's going to have a big career." If only Brandis believed that himself. By November 2003, Puerto Vallarta Squeeze had already wrapped, and Brandis should have been hoping for all the opportunities it would bring him. There was just one problem. He had been here before, with all these hopes, only to have them smashed. Apparently, it was all too much for him. His next act was a true tragedy. Just before midnight on November 11th, 2003, friends entered Jonathan Brandis' Los Angeles apartment and made a horrific discovery. They found him deceased in the hallway. Panicked and upset, they called 911, and medical responders rushed Brandis to the hospital to save his life. But it was too late. Brandis may have clung feebly to his life that night, but by the next day, doctors announced that he had passed at the age of 27. The shockwaves were immense. His Puerto Vallarta Squeeze producer, Robert Katz, said his first response was, "No, no, no, wrong guy." While 111 Gramercy Park co-star Jaleel White said, "I stared at my computer screen, tears rolling down my face." They weren't the only ones. Brandis' ex, Tatiana Ali, reacted to his death differently than White or Katz. After some time had passed, she reportedly admitted she was angry with him initially, perhaps an understandable first reaction when they had only broken up a couple years before, and after a long relationship. One friend, however, struggled with intense guilt. Brandis' old friend Soleil Moon Frye confessed that she had some elements of guilt about not properly seeing what he was going through and not reaching out to him when she had the chance to actually really hear what someone was saying. But in the end, she did give a beautiful tribute to her lost friend.
For exclusive perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, and to have your say on future content, consider becoming a Factinate member. On top of that, your support helps keep the channel going. Click the link in the description for more details.
In 2021, Soleil Moon Frye created the documentary Kid 90, which contained footage of the extensive home videos she took from her years in Hollywood in the 90s. Brandis appeared frequently in this footage, and the documentary gave his memory new life. Even so, this didn't erase the pain of his loss for his family, or their suspicions around his death. The same year that Kid 90 came out, Brandis' father Greg finally spoke about his son's death. Surprisingly, despite Jonathan's struggle with the validity of fame in his career, Greg Brandis explicitly said his son's passing wasn't due to the entertainment industry. The culprit he pointed to was the biggest bombshell of all. Rather than blaming Hollywood for Jonathan's tragic end, his father believed a previously undiagnosed mental illness was responsible. Greg Brandis admitted, "I look back now, and in his 20s he showed signs of manic depression." As a result, Greg believes that bipolar disorder was a factor in the challenges Brandis faced during his life. Brandis' memory haunted the film world in the months and years after his sad end. Puerto Vallarta Squeeze came out later in 2004, and in 2005 his long-delayed work in Bad Girls from Valley High was finally released direct-to-video. He lingered in other ways, too. Although Brandis has been gone for decades, his father still remembers him each and every day, and even communicates with him. As he said in a 2021 interview, "I talk to him, and it makes me smile. I get the feeling he's looking down at me." Brandis' legacy is full of the ups and downs of Hollywood life, from the highs of teen stardom to the lows of scraping together roles, all amidst his struggles with mental health. But it was not a wasted legacy, and his father Greg hopes that when people read Brandis' story, anyone else suffering can go get help. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want a say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us.